Just completed watching the Sandman series that's out now on Netflix. What do I think of it? Like, the series is a complicated one for me. Initially, when watching the first episode, it was really intriguing what was happening and all that kind of stuff. Especially with the everything that happened with the character, the main character, who is Dream, which is supposed to be also the Sandman, I believe. Based on the fact that he used sands and he used sand as like this magic spell thing. Given the fact that how I'm talking about the character, you can clearly see that I know nothing about the character from a comic book's perspective. I wasn't even aware that it was a comic book character until I read up a few on it. Then found out, oh, it was a comic book character, but I have no knowledge of it. So upon watching this series, there were certain things that came up that I didn't like, but I found that one of the major issues I had with the series was based on the incorrect knowledge of said character. Specifically, Jehona Constantine. What I consider at the time of watching the series was a female version of John Constantine. However, upon doing a few lookups, I watched somebody else's review and they said that basically, and I read about it too after watching that person's review just to make sure. So basically, Joanna Constantine is basically an ancestor of John, which is kind of weird to put her in the modern day, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. Like, change over time is a lot in the past, so I guess it's fine, but it's just that I did not know that she was. And upon watching the series, I really didn't like the fact that it wasn't John, because to be honest, she wasn't as cool as John. She was okay, but she wasn't as cool as John. Like, when you think of Constantine, you think of John. Like, I think of John. I think many people that are not comic book fan, when you think of Constantine, you think of John. So to see somebody else apart from John being a Constantine, because initially when I saw her character, I swear I thought first thing came to mind is John's daughter. But I thought it was his daughter at first, but then when they said that she's Constantine, because I thought probably it was a case that John exists in the same world and something of sorts, but she's the only Constantine, and it was very off-putting for me at the time of watching it. But now with this knowledge that she's actually she's an ancestor, that, you know, in this context of the movie, they put her in a timeline, a very newer, I guess, brought her up in the terms of within the timeline, which, all in all, I thought it was fine. When it comes down to this series, like, the main thing that intrigued me was Dream. The characterization of Dream, the character Dream rather, was the reason why I continued watching this series. It was very the character was a very interesting one, and the actor that I get to play him was very unique. He was very stoic, but you can tell that there's more to him, and you can tell that he doesn't understand the world that he has now found himself trapped in, like, and he has a disdain and a hatred for humans. But then you found out later on that it's just that he doesn't understand it, and he was on the verge of understanding when he was captured, and it was like all these things happen, and it's an interesting thing to see. I honestly thought they were going to do the whole revenge plot a bit longer. However, they quickly got rid of that. In like 5 to 6 episodes, give or take. But however, there was an overarching story. It was very interesting. His Dream's other sibling was very, I don't know what to say about him, interesting to see. I think the most standout in the series overall, when it comes down to characters, are Dream and Death. Death was really good. It was interesting to see Death in a more bright, I guess, happier light in a sense. It wasn't dark and Gruma trying to be menacing. Death was actually happy, and it was also weird but interesting to see, and how she works. because Death is a she. So how Death, I don't know if in the comic books if she was a she or it was just or that's gender bend, I don't know. But regardless, what I've seen of the character Death is interesting. I like this version of Death. It was because I'm used to Death being like this menacing kind of character. It's kind of weird and very interesting to see it as more happy character in a sense that loves doing what she does, and basically just she's not just reaping people. It's basically helping people to understand and accept the fact that they've died and now they have to move on to another realm, which is a very interesting way of looking at what Death's job is into the wider version of the world. And yeah, there was a lot of moments like that throughout the series that very capture my attention. However, there are very moments where it didn't. There are very boring elements of this series that really did not capture my attention, that are too slow. But all in all, there are many more moments that capture what's going to happen and this kind of thing. And another favorite character of mine in the series was this guy. Was this blondie guy. He dressed in full cream or white. I think it's cream. Yeah, he's just a cream suit, and he always in the cream suit, and he always wears shades and stuff. That character is I don't remember his name. Yeah, but that character was cool. That character was really cool, and he was basically a nightmare who basically didn't want just to be a nightmare, but also want to live freely. But it was actually very villainous, so it was kind of an interesting and sad reality that you create something to be evil but just be in somebody's dream, but they turned out to be they want freedom, but they are what you create. So their version of freedom is doing what you create them to do without your oversight or your confines. So it's a neat dynamic, and to me this series has put a lot of question into play, as in, do we have to be what we were created to be, or can we be more than what we have created to be or become? And it's a very fascinating thing, and it also asks a question of your duty and what you want to do, and the extent of what you can do, even though it's your job. And it's this interesting facet of the series that really intrigues me a lot. I think what brought Long Series for me was the Vortex character. The young actress that they got to play that character wasn't very good to me. There were certain elements that especially surrounding her character, that felt artificial. How people can interact with her at times felt a bit artificial. I don't know if that was in the comics, but overall here it just felt weird, and it just feel like people, it kind of feels like pandering in a sense, because everybody was just super nice to her at times, and it was weird, and people say certain things, and but all in all, there were just truly great moments in especially comes down to the character and this kind of stuff. I think Sandman, this series, is a great understanding of diversity, inclusion done right, in a sense. You never felt like anybody was being, except the Vortex, except for the character with the Vortex. You at times you feel like it was like people were too nice to her, but except from her, everybody else, you didn't feel like they get special treatment. There are some dark things. It's not a world that has clear lines of good and evil in a sense. It's just people having their responsibilities and doing what they have to do and want what they want. So it's always interesting to see that dynamic, and they're set up for season 2, and I'm crazy interested to see what they do for season 2 and all that. But with all that said, this is a great, not really great, but this is an okay to a good show in my book. It's not great. It wasn't phenomenal. It could have been phenomenal, but it wasn't phenomenal because there was a few key drawbacks that didn't make it that way for me, and that include how people were overly nice to the Vortex. I didn't like that. How at certain time, even the great grandmother that came into play, I felt like she was evil or possessed because she was just too nice, and turns out she was just a human. I was like, that's weird, but okay. That certain thing just feels weird, like they're giving you subtle hints of this might be something else, but it turns out it's not. It just is what it is, and people are just overly nice to this, like, because even the time, like, there were moments I thought probably they're like demons trying to like get to her or something, but it just turned out they're just people. And I don't know, there were just those elements in the series that just making it draw down for me, addition to the slow paced moments that dragged on for too long. My favorite episode in the series was episode 6, where they showcase like the dream friendship of this guy where he befriended, lasting beyond centuries and centuries, and it was very interesting to see, and I'm happy they showcases them, because at one point I was kind of worried to feel like they were gonna do like what modern movies do and probably make there be a romantic thing between these two guys, but it turns out they're just only friends based on that episode and everything. And I thought I was really happy they didn't do that, and it just made, you know, friends that's checking up on each other every 100 years, which is very good. Like I think with this series, based on the climate, this series will make you think that it's doing something that it's not. And you have to be kind of careful when it comes on to these series these days, because you will assume that this is what they're trying to do, but really they're not. And this series is just one of those series, because even Lucifer being a woman, I honestly didn't like that. Honestly, I didn't think that the actress that played Lucifer had the menacing look or tone that Lucifer would have or should have, really. So I wasn't really terrified that of her really like that. So I think that was a drawback also, but it wasn't a main thing, because we didn't like see Lucifer throughout the series until like the last part. But apart from that, like, it was a good setup, it was a good story. There are a lot of things that came out, a lot of things tie into each other, why things happen and make sense within the context of the universe. Is this a great series? Would I watch the season again? No, but all in all, the series overall is okay enough to enjoy, compared to what we have seen before, like Resident Evil Raccoon City, Welcome to Raccoon City, Resident Evil the series, and all those other Netflix series. This is one of the better ones that I've actually liked a lot, you know, a little bit more than I thought I would. I thought it would be boring, but it's a bit boring in some areas, but it turned out to be a lot better than I thought it would have been, and that's a good thing in my book. So if you haven't watched the series already, you can give it a try. If you know about the comic books, I don't, because I don't know about the comic books, but I think it's an okay series and it's good enough to enjoy within what it is. There would be certain moments, as I said, that are boring or felt like he's dragging on longer than he should, and there are certain things that happen that just feels weird. But apart from that, the series is all good. It's not really a recommend, but if you're bored and you need something to watch that is relatively entertaining, this will be it. The main actor that played Dream, he was the outstanding part of this series for me, really. He looked, for a guy that's supposed to be in charge of dreams, he looked menacing as shit. Like, he would rip the world apart, and kind of have this like early 2000 emo angster too, which is really cool in my book. So that gives a step up, and I really like it. So I really like his character, and I hope to see more of him. And I hope to see more of the actor too. I don't think I have seen that actor before in anything. So I don't know. This was a good watch for me, and I personally like it. It was okay. Wasn't great. It was okay. I said it again. So guys, without further ado, if you haven't watched it, check it out. If you haven't been subscribed, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. If you haven't hit the like button as yet, hit the like button. If you haven't, ring that bell icon. Even though you have subscribed, ring that bell icon, because we'll be back with more reviews, gameplays, and all that on this channel. See you guys in the next one. Peace.